As soon as we came in, the uncle who was managing this, he said, India, Indira Gandhi came here on an official visit.
Twice. Hello guys, welcome back to another vlog. Today is our last day in Georgia.
And we are right now in the residential neighborhoods of Tbilisi. We just found out that there's a very interesting museum here, and this museum is not like the usual ones. It's got something to do with USSR and Soviet propaganda, so we're going to check it out. And we saw a black cat.
It wouldn't move even if we walked in front of it.
Yeah. So the black cat has just experienced an omen because we walked in front of it, and now we're just reaching the museum. So we've just entered the museum, and as soon as we came in, the uncle who was managing this, he said, India, Indira Gandhi came here on an official visit.
Twice.
It's so windy.
And he also gave us a sheet which is explaining what this museum is about.
So we're just going to go and explore it on our own because it looks like there's no guide. Obviously, this is such a unique experience because one, we've never really been exposed to something of this kind, like a communist house. And for the first time in our lives, we are actually seeing stuff that we had read about in stories, stuff that we often watch in Western media, actually coming to life. The closest thing we can relate this to is actually what we had seen in Russia when we were in Moscow. This was before COVID in 2019, when we went down a nuclear bunker all the way down to 18 floors underground. And I mean, this isn't underground, but it's almost the exact same kind of experience that we're getting.
The first room we entered is this one. We see many propaganda posters everywhere, and on this wall they have a frame of a picture of Joseph Stalin. The interesting thing is it has 3 different pictures in just one frame. Once if you see it from the left side, once if you see it straight, and then again from the right side.
And this entire room is just like how it probably was back in the 60s and 70s, because all of this has been maintained exactly as it is. There's the textures on the wall, it seems so strange, like it feels like cloth, but it's not. And then here there's a big image of Lenin, and then here you can see there's another bust of Lenin right here, and then more pictures of Joseph Stalin, books that he read, a cot, and I think this is supposed to be a bed that somebody probably slept on. But the interesting thing about this place is this entire museum or house as it is today is actually sitting on top of a well. So Stalin would use this pulley system and go down right there, from where he would find the shaft, and then he would cross in. And the way they would control their descent was using the grooves in the edges all around, and that's how they would make it down safely. So this was the well right here, and once they would go down and go through the shafts, they would eventually reach below this where printing press is located. Crazy, isn't it?
I know.
Wow. So this is the upward shaft, and that connects to the tunnel behind. This is the exact same basement where Joseph Stalin and his friends used to come here to work on printing communist propaganda during the Tsarist rule. So in the early 1900s, Russia was under Tsarist rule. And at that time, Lenin and his friends and his comrades brought about this revolution in bringing communism into Russia, which eventually grew into USSR. Joseph Stalin, his successor, was actually a Georgian. He was born here. And this entire place has a very, very big story that's associated with Stalin. So Stalin and his friends actually used to go down in this well, and they used to arrive at a tunnel and then into this entire room. And this room was actually completely cut off from the outside world. Through this well, they would come down and actually get through a passage here, come back up through this tunnel, and work on the printing press, which would be kept here. And this was the actual house above, which meant that any person who would come and visit from the outside would never know about the shaft, the tunnel, or even this basement or the printing press. So in this basement, using this printing press, Stalin and his friends would actually produce a lot of pamphlets, newspapers and articles about how the Tsarist rule was holding Russia back, holding people back here, and how communism was the way ahead. And they used to print this and distribute it. All of this material and propaganda was not just printed in Russian, but it was also printed in Georgian and Armenian. These are the three major languages that were used in this region at that time. These are all of the printouts that were made here in this very press. And these are printed in Georgian. And this is what is printed in Russian. Even the printing press wasn't really shipped across from Germany. It was actually dismantled completely, brought part by part, and then reassembled here inside this basement. At that time, to avoid trouble with the police, a member of the Rostomashvili family that owned this house, typically the lady of the house would sit outside in the balconies, and she would look for any policeman coming this way. And if any policeman would come, she would immediately inform Joseph Stalin and his friends here to shut the printing machine, and they would do so, and everything would go pitch quiet, and the police would just pass by not knowing what is happening. Eventually, somebody tipped off the police about some unlawful activities happening here. At one point in 1906, apparently the police, called as the Gendarmerie, were actually roaming around here because they had been informed by somebody, and while there was a family living upstairs, they alerted everybody here, and the entire family as well as Joseph Stalin and his friends actually all left. And after they had left, the police came here and began to look around. Obviously, they knew nothing about this printing press. So out of frustration that they did not find anything except a well, they tried to light a newspaper on fire and just throw it. And that newspaper went down the shaft, and the smoke never came up, and it seemed very odd. At that point, the policemen called the firefighters, and then they were lowered down into the well, and then they discovered the shaft and this basement, and then the printing press. At that point, the policemen decided to blow up this entire house, and they just did that. An old telephone. That's his room.
That was something I never expected I would see.
Yeah, and I mean, the history was very intense, but hopefully we could explain a portion of what we learned. Crazy dog.
It was so much history, and being there in that well, in that underground basement, oh my god.
Hopefully you enjoyed learning about it just as much as we did. And in today's world, I know things are a lot more different than they used to be, but it was still a piece of history that I think we should all know about, whichever part of the world we're from. Okay, what next?
Let's go to the church, the big one.
It's too windy.
It's freezing here. It's not 15, it's much lesser than that. I never expected this church to be so big. It's so tall.
Want to give us a scale?
Oh yes.
Okay, let's go. There you go. Shish. The cathedral. Was that fun?
Yes, now can you click that picture?
We're right now in front of the Holy Trinity Cathedral, and we just came out from inside the building, and it's
freezing and it's so windy. It's the beginning of the winter. It's the first time I've experienced such a strong wind. Like the wind is pushing me literally.
the closest we've experienced anything to this was in Murmansk, again in Russia, but here you can't even speak. Like, it's so strong, and it's like making us fall off. We can't even stand clearly. But wow, look at that. The church looks so beautiful. I think if it come in the daytime, we probably wouldn't have seen it in this color. Okay, what's the plan now, Shish?
Let's go get something to eat.
Okay.
I heard that there's some square called Fabrica, and there's supposed to be good food around that.
The wind is so strong, it's even pushing the camera off.
Yeah, and I'm unable to speak and pronounce my words. My lips are frozen.
Wow. Georgia has been very, very fascinating, and it's very sad that this time is ending.
Yeah, but we're excited for the next one.
Shish usually cries on her last day. I guess you won't be able to hear this, so we'll see you at the next. It looks so beautiful, a church like this.
It reminds me of our ISKCON temple in Rajachinagar. That is also on a small mountain, and it also comes out in full light at night. Wow.
So just come now for dinner. Just getting a small bit of falafel in for some protein, and then we're going to go and get some sleep. And thanks you guys for coming along and exploring Georgia with us, and we'll see you in the next one.
From the next country. It's that time of the month again. We just picked up these two postcards. They look so cool. Just look at that. And we want to send this to two of you. So don't forget to leave a comment below. How's my new jacket?